protection good, and Joseph nails it. Vikings have come from behind to take a 3-point lead on the road with 12 seconds to go.
Well, you run one of these, flip it out to the outside and start lateral.
From the pocket, there's Antonio Gibson, who's looking for somebody to flip it to. Did he get out of bounds? No, he did not, and that's it. The Vikings, 6th straight win.
Hey, everybody. He's Happy Gilmore. She's Virginia. I'm Shooter McGavin. No, that ain't it. He's Chubbs. She's Grandma. I'm Barb Barker. This may not be a Happy Gilmore, but it is Vikings Report. Drew and Ted. Drewster, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good, Ted. Welcome to episode 79. We're going to do a little Happy Gilmore tonight. What a great movie. What a season we're having. We got another huge show lined up, and I just wanted to say welcome, like and subscribe, and thank you for all the support you've been giving us. We've been giving a lot of comments and a lot of well wishes, and I love our audience, man. Vikings Report crowd is excellent.
Awesome.
Hey, Gilmore, you suck, you jackass. Why don't you shut the hell up?
That's awesome. And I think by the time this show airs, we record a few days before it airs, I think we'll have eclipsed 14,000 subscribers.
Oh, you can count. Good for you.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Thank you, everybody. What do we got going, Mr. 7-1?
I want to ask Ruby Joe Mixon Toonces how she's doing this evening. Apparently pretty well.
I don't care about all you viewers out there. I just care about Joe. Thanks, Joe.
She picked Joe Mixon on our Nobody Cares About Your Fantasy Team segment last week and trounced us.
Ruby had 2 players get 0, and she still trounced us with 99 points.
It was incredible.
It was a whipping. So if you took Ruby, also she won Super Toast. So it was a clean sweep for Toonces.
Yeah, good week for Toonces, which is what she said. Anyways, we got a great show. We've got Vikings NFL news. We got our 2 contests. Nobody Cares About Your Fantasy Team. Our Super Toe Challenge. We got a great preview coming up. Biggest game of the year for the Vikings today. The Vikings and the Bills. No trivia this week, but we still have Drewster's Millions. Before we get going, look, a couple quick announcements. We're the official podcast for this great website called Purple Pain Forums, purplepainforums.com. Fantastic old school message board that doesn't have any of that toxicity of trying to engage in conversations that you sometimes get on Facebook or Twitter or other social media sites. Great group of people, moderated very well. Great leadership in that group that just lets you talk football and be respectful about other people doing it. They got some great topics about the Vikings. If you go to the message board, they've got weekly Purple Pain accountability in their Pick 6 contest. Original content you won't find anywhere else. Just phenomenal group of people. PurplePainForums.com. We're their official podcast. They're our official Vikings website. Another site I want to talk about real quick is our website, VikingsReport.com. Drewby worked really hard before the season to get that up and running. Over on VikingsReport.com, you can find links to all our contest entries. You can make your contest entries over on our website if you want to for our weekly fantasy football contest. You can check out the Vikings Report prize vault. We give away prizes every week on our live show, and we've got prizes to give away at the end of this year. We've got our Zazzle where you can buy a coffee mug. You've got a Patreon account. You got links to our social media, VikingsReport.com. Go check it out. It's like Shooter McGavin on the back nine. It's awesome.
How many golfers after that movie went out and tried to do that Happy Gilmore run up to the probably a lot.
I know I didn't. I hurt my back doing it one day. And then I did it once and I connected and I sliced it real bad. And there's like this housing development on the golf course. It was like a jet plane evading a SAM missile, man. It went right so hard. And I heard this pow! It hit somebody's roof.
Smoke in the air, smoke in the air. Hang on. Yeah, man. Splash one, splash one.
It was wild. Nobody came out. So, okay, cool.
My uncle used to live off a golf course for many years. And every time somebody hit a golf ball and he hit the house, he'd run out in the backyard and lay down and put the ball next to him.
All right, like I said, we got a big show tonight, but Drewster, we can't start the show off because we need to know what time it is.
Ted?
Drew?
Like Chubbs, I'm cooler than you are. So why don't you fix your little problem and light this candle?
He's right. The price isn't wrong. Light this candle.
Bow, 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 bow. Hey, hey.
All right, I'm cooler than you are. Why don't you fix your little problems and light this candle?
He's right. Let's light this candle. He surely is. Light the candle.
Yes. Resume the countdown.
Yeah, all right, let's go.
We are off and running. Welcome to episode 79. 79, Ted.
79. It's going to be a good episode. It's going to be better than the part in Happy Gilmore where Virginia is sitting in the 90s with the two pitchers of beer on the fairway.
Remember that?
Oh, who could forget that?
Nice outfit.
Tremendous golfing attire.
Yes. Can I make a couple milestone announcements?
Sure can.
A couple things happened in last week's game against the Commanders, and I wanted to give proper due. Adam Thielen caught his 500th pass as a Viking, moving him into third place. He finished the game with 502 career catches. And to put it in perspective, he's got 502, Ted. If he gets another 502, he'll tie Chris Carter. That's how ridiculous Chris Carter's number is, 1,004 catches. Wow.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Adam Thielen is not going to get 502 more receptions in the NFL.
He's 85 away from Randy Moss moving into second.
That's not out of the realm of possibility.
With one of the catches yesterday, you became the third ever Vikings receiver to reach 500, and the other two are Randy Moss and Chris Carter. When you hear something like that and realize that you've done something like that, how much does it mean to you? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's hard to speak on that stuff right now just because I know I need to be a lot better and that I need to continue to grind and get better mentally, physically, and just be prepared for this week. And I think I've always kind of had that mindset that when I'm done playing and I finally, hang the cleats up, that I'll be able to look back at those things and be proud of those things and be honored by those things. But right now I'm just so focused on trying to be a better football player and trying to help this team win games. And that might be a cliche answer, but it is a truth because I know that I need to continue to get better to help this team win football games and ultimately go where we want to go.
How about Kirk Cousins moving into third place all time? As he threw 2 touchdown passes against Washington, he passed Dante Culpepper and moved into third place on the all-time franchise list for touchdown passes with 137, Ted.
Wow.
22 to catch Tommy Kramer. Now, I'm going to say he's got the games this year. He might get that.
I don't know he'll get it this year. He'll get it early next year.
Let's track it. I think he's going to get it this year.
And look, I think we deserve a lot of credit for Adam Thielen getting to 502 because before Vikings Report with Drew and Ted was on the air, Adam Thielen did not have 5-2. Now that we are on the air, he does have 5-2. And that's really all I'm saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
I know what you're doing right now, and I don't like it. So why don't you just shut your trap before I put my foot in it?
That makes sense. We made that guy.
Hashtag science. There you go. So some Vikings news this week. Kind of lost in the win against Washington. Cam Dantzler was injured in that game, had an MRI on his ankle, and Kevin O'Connell has said he is a long shot to play on Sunday. If there's a silver lining to that, it's that Caleb Evans came in cold and played very well. I think you gave him a game ball in our live post-game show.
I did. I don't think Dantzler's going to go, but walking in there against that receiving core in Buffalo, I mean, if he shines this week, we got the real deal in the draft.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
The big injury news doesn't involve the Minnesota Vikings, though. It's Bills quarterback Josh Allen, one of the front runners for MVP.
What the hell's going on with him, Ted?
He has some kind of elbow injury, and nobody has really said anything official. I'll tell you this. Have you seen Sean McDermott talk about Josh Allen's injury?
No.
So he said, well, we're just going to play it day by day and one day at a time. Just threw out a whole bunch of cliches. Now, if I was the head coach of a football team and my star quarterback hurt his elbow and it wasn't serious, the first thing I'd say, Josh Allen's fine. Shouldn't be a problem. The fact that he's not saying that, I'm serious.
Seriously, I'm serious.
I mean, I joke, but I'm serious. It tells me that this is something that bears watching because Josh Allen may miss the Sunday game. There are rumors on the internet, unverified, that it may be a more serious injury, maybe some sort of ligament tear, which would require something akin to like Tommy John surgery, which would end his season.
Damn alligator bit my hand off.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But there's been nothing official out of Buffalo at the time of this recording. So Josh Allen's status for Sunday is very much up in the air.
And that could be a game changer.
That is really a paradigm shift for this game potentially.
What is a paradigm again?
Hi there, students. A paradigm. A paradigm is a pattern or a template or a model of something that can be copied.
It's two dimes, paradigms.
Yeah, okay.
Put together, paradigms.
Paradigms. Okay, got it. Got it. Thanks, Ted. The old ulnar collateral ligament, Ted.
Yes, that's it.
Most of us have been there. I know I've had my ulna pulled a few times. It's fun, but it's not fun.
My ulna has been some collateral damage at times in my life, I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we're going to do our preview board. We're going to have to go into it just thinking Josh Allen's going to play because all the check marks and everything, if Keenum's in there, it changes everything.
It does, yeah. We'll see what happens. But one last thing. I love watching those locker game speeches. Vibe coming off the team is just so different. And Kevin O'Connell said something that just struck me. We continue to be at our best when our best is required.
You can be at your best when your best is required. That's right. And that's what this football team continues to do.
I don't know that there's a saying that encapsulates the Minnesota Vikings season as well as that saying right there, right now to this point.
They seem to be loose, having a good time. Look at Cousins. Look at what Cousins is doing now. I mean, I didn't get to see any of the locker room thing. Can we roll a couple seconds of that?
Give it up for yourselves one more time. Defensively, game balls could go all the way around for you guys, but I'm going to give them to two guys that we lean on time and time again. First one, 2 sacks, Daniil Hunter. Another guy right here. All right, his yak was a little bit better. He's getting a lot of practice. He's getting a lot of practice at that yak because he's got his interception for a third game in a row here. Seems like this guy got here about 48 hours ago. And we went out to go get this guy because I believe this guy can make game-changing plays and fit right in with our offense when we're rolling. On 9 targets, TJ Hawkinson.
Did you see all that ice? That's more ice than Antarctica he had around his neck. Doing a little windshield wiper dance. That was awesome.
Maybe that's what he's lacked all these since 2012 is being able to be himself, you know?
There was a great tweet I saw. I can't remember who put it out. You remember that week 1 picture where he had that button down, that yellow short sleeve shirt?
Yes.
They put that picture next to the one of him shirtless wearing all the ice. And the caption was, Kirk Cousins has gone from, I will have your daughter home at 9 p.m., sir, to she calls me daddy now, too. I have said this. It is so fun to watch this team having fun.
Yes.
I mean, I don't feel that I'm like really a part of it. I'm just a fan. But we have sat here these last 2 or 3 years, even before we had our own show, about how hard it was to cheer for this team.
Yes.
And how difficult it was to be a Vikings fan because they just were not a fun team. You use this great phrase, this cloud of doom, and it is completely gone. It's completely washed away. And I love it. I love what the Vikings are doing. I love the chemistry. I haven't seen a team this tightly bound together since like 2017. I wish I could be more articulate in how I just could describe my feelings towards this team so far this year.
You're exactly right, Ted. You got to be able to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
It's hard to have a journey like this. 7-1, those don't happen too often. I read a comment after the game that said the Vikings continue to get lucky instead of being good. And I thought to myself, Washington literally were handed a touchdown when the official bowled over our safety.
Yeah, Mark, you do get credit for not turning it over, and they haven't so far as Heineke avoids pressure and heaves it deep. Samuel, the officials down there, and Samuel makes the catch. There were 3 Vikings and an official.
It's not luck when you come down from 10 points on the road. That's not luck.
It's not, Ed.
That's execution and skill. Now, we can debate should the Vikings have even been down 10 points on the road to the Washington Commanders. Okay, that's fair. And I think that all goes towards part of the team critique as a whole.
Sure.
But when the Vikings went down 17-7, I asked you and Chris Gates, who joins us every Sunday for our live postgame show, Vikings Report Rewind, watch it, be there. I said, were you guys worried? And both of you said, yeah, I kind of was. I had full faith that the Vikings were going to come back and win this game because I believe finally that the head coach on my sideline is just as smart and just as good as the guy over on the other sideline 9 times out of 10. And when that happens, and if you've got equal or better talent, which just about every team in the NFL has pretty much equal talent, when it's all said and done, you're going to come out on top, and the Vikings do, and I love it.
I heard O'Connell say something to the effect of, you know what, we may not make all the plays, but we damn sure are going to make the important plays.
Yeah.
The situational plays that make a difference. And you know what? Every week they've done that.
Yeah.
They seem to come through, and that's not luck. That's preparation and execution and scheming and game plan. If you just don't, oh!
You think that's funny? I don't hear you laughing now!
I mean, it's like this team has gone from the, in Happy Gilmore, the Ben Stiller guy, the guy that was the orderly in the nursing home that was like, shh, I'll kill you, Grandma.
I've been thinking about you all the time. Looks like everybody's having fun here, huh?
They've gone from that, yes, they've gone from that vibe to just shiny, happy people, man, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I love it.
Welcome to my world, Granny. And I'm really looking forward to this game Sunday because if they win Sunday, I don't want to hear shit from anybody anymore.
Ever.
ESPN, NFL Network, CNN, Big Bang Theory. I don't want to hear from any of those people.
How can you not enjoy Adam Schefter shirtless on Monday Night Football, imitating shirtless, chained Kirk Cousins on the pregame? My good friend Eric Thompson, he also writes for Daily Norseman. He had a tweet something to the effect, if you would have told me 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, if shirtless, chained Adam Schefter would be imitating shirtless, chained Kirk Cousins on a Monday Night Football, I'd ask who slipped LSD into my supper. Honestly, that's where we are. That's how much fun this team is and how much fun we're having. Get on board, have fun, enjoy the ride.
How about I just go eat some hay? I can make things out of clay and lay by the bay. I just may. What do you say?
I never thought that I could be living my life on LSD, but nevertheless, still that I am shortly about to be, because I gotta go.
All right, so that's it for news. Now it's time for hashtag Nobody Cares About Your Fantasy Team. Rules for hashtag Nobody Cares About Your Fantasy Team are pretty simple. Drew, Ruby, and I each week are going to pick 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. Once we pick them, they're done for the year. We can only pick those players one single time. We will not be allowed to pick any of the Thursday night game players at all. And we're using our standard PPR scoring format. So you look at our fantasy teams and you tell us in the comments below or on our website, VikingsReport.com. Ruby will have a section on the website each week for our fantasy team segment, and you can put your entry there. If you win, you get 2 pretty cool prizes. Drewster, what are those 2 cool prizes?
A vintage John Randall jersey and a Vikings plaque.
2 really cool prizes. So again, look at our fantasy teams and the comments below on this show. Put in who you think, Team Toonces, Team Ted, Team Drew, either here or go over to VikingsReport.com. You put your entries in there. So those are the rules. Look at each one of our fantasy teams in the comment section down below. You want to pick Team Drew, Team Toonces, or Team Ted, or go over to VikingsReport.com. Put your entry there. You'll get a point if you pick the correct team. Person with the most points at the end of the year wins the grand prize Olama. All righty. Our other contest is our Super Toe Challenge. Ruby, hit it. This is separate from our hashtag Nobody Cares About Your Fantasy Team segment. Just pick a kicker. The one you think is going to score the most points between the kicker, Ruby, Drew, and I pick. And you get that many points. And the person that has the most points at the end of the season wins. And you get points whether you finish first, second, or third. If my kicker gets 20 points, Drew's get 15, and Ruby's get 10, you get that amount of points every week. Some weeks you'll be in third, some weeks you'll win, but whoever has the most points at the end of the season wins the Super Toe Challenge contest. And we got a couple of cool prizes for the Super Toe Challenge contest as well, Drew. What are they?
We got a set of vintage Fred Cox football cards. Freddie's the greatest kicker we ever had. And the leather Vikings football.
So for this, it's, again, pretty simple. In the comments below, just pick a kicker between the one Drew, Ruby, and I pick, or on our VikingsReport.com website, you'll have a section there for the Super Toe Challenge entries every week. And if you have the most points at the end of the season, you're our Super Toe Challenge winner. Now! What we do, the person who finishes last week before gets to pick their kicker first. So, Drew, who are you going to take this week?
I'm taking Matt Gay from the LA Rams.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pick Jason Sanders, kicker from Miami. Ruby, who you got?
I will take Jason Myers from Seattle.
All righty.
Breaking news. We are adding into the prize package for first place the Fod Reves jersey.
Get out of here. Seriously?
Yes. So that has been added to the prize package. So you get the Freddie Cox football cards, you get the leather football, and now you get the Fod Reves jersey.
Man, that's legit awesome.
That's per Toots's. When Toots's says this is what we're doing, you know what we do?
That's what we do it. Which is what she said. I'm sorry. That's terrible. I believe our field reporter, Robert W. Farnsworth, has made it to Buffalo.
Hello, everybody. Robert W. Farnsworth here. This week, our first place NFC North Division leading Minnesota Vikings take the Central Express off to Buffalo, New York to take on Sean McDermott, possibly Josh Allen, and those dastardly Buffalo Bills. Will the Minnesota Vikings circle the wagons, or will they come home with their second loss of the year? We'll find out.
All right. Thanks, Robert. Like he said, the Vikings. Now, who would have thought this a month ago, Drew and Ruby, that the Minnesota Vikings would go into Buffalo with a better record than the Bills? I mean, who saw that coming at the beginning of the year? Because I'll tell you what, I sure did.
I did not see that happening.
Vikes are 7-1. Bills are 6-2. Lost to the Jets last week. Ruby's going to go ahead and put up our big board, our longtime tribute to the NFL today from back in the day with Brent Musburger and Jimmy the Greek Snyder. And as always, we start out with quarterback, work our way down the list you see there. We mentioned Josh Allen's injury. I'll tell you what, I am prepared to pick Josh Allen here. If Josh Allen doesn't play, you know who Buffalo's backup is, don't you?
Yeah, Case Keenum, our old friend.
The former president of the United States, Case Keenum, who will always be my president for what he did. I'm always going to like Case Keenum. Stephon Diggs is on the Bills, obviously, and we'll talk about the receivers. So, like, Keenum and Diggs playing on the Bills against the Vikings would just be very weird to me.
Yeah, absolutely weird.
If Josh Allen plays, Josh Allen gets my check mark. If Case Keenum plays, Kirk Cousins gets my check mark.
Doing this board today, Ted, I'm going to go about thinking Josh Allen's going to play.
That's fair.
And then all my check marks for the Bills will go to the Vikings if the other guy plays. I mean, Keenum, we like Keenum. He's had a great season here for the Vikings, but he's certainly no Josh Allen.
He's not. No.
You're talking arm strength where the Vikings don't really have to cover any 9 routes. Arm strength is half of what Josh Allen's is, which means the deep threat would be gone.
Yes.
You eliminate the deep threat, Vikings are all of a sudden this game's heads up, squared up.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Josh Allen is such a playmaker, dynamic, beats you with his legs, throws it 900 yards without stepping into it, that's what has the Vikings in trouble. But if he doesn't play, it's a toss-up.
Completely different ballgame if Josh Allen doesn't play.
But I have to give him my check mark figuring he's going to play.
What about the run game? Why don't you go first on the run game there, dude?
You know, the rushing offense for the Vikings is dipping a little bit, Ted, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah. Mentioned that in the live post game. So they were only getting like 2 or 3 yards at a crack when Dalvin Cook ran the ball. If they're going to run the ball on first down as much as they did against Washington, they are going to have to get 4 or 5 yards a crack. 2 and 3 was survivable, but they still struggled against a decent Washington defense, but not great. You only run for 1 or 2 yards against Buffalo on first down, you're in trouble.
You have to stay ahead of the chains, especially against Buffalo. because they're a team of momentum and get on runs and they don't let you get up. They'll drop the hammer on you. But the Vikings are 24th in rushing at only 102 yards a game.
Yeah.
Buffalo's about 20 yards better. They picked up Nyheim Hines, the old Colts guy, who's a great receiver out of the backfield, along with being a good runner. So they got Hines, and they got Singletary, and they have Dalvin Cook's brother.
Oh, that's right. Yes, they do.
James Cook against Dalvin Cook. So James is going to want to outdo his big brother, and Dalvin's going to want to, beat his little brother. So we have that little dynamic, little storyline to go along with it. I am reluctantly going to give Buffalo my check mark here, Ted, but it's got a big asterisk, and there's something I'm going to go over when we get to the defensive line that's going to show you that the Vikings got a shot at winning the rush total game, but they got to run the football this Sunday or they have no chance. They run for 2.5 rush, it's over.
Are you giving Buffalo the run game check mark, including Josh Allen or independent of Josh Allen running the ball?
Just the running backs. I think they have a better trio of running backs.
I do too, yeah.
They can keep fresher. I mean, right now it's two guys for the Vikings.
Yeah.
It's Cook and it's Madison.
Yeah.
When you're running James Cook and Singletary, and they can run Nyheim Hines in there now, you got guys that are fresh all the time instead of guys that are gassed. Cook carrying the load, and they're switching it with three guys. Three good players. They aren't hacks.
Yeah.
They don't have one like feature back and then two hackers, two scrubs. They're all three good. So I kind of giving them the check mark on the run game because of that. But there's something I'll go over later that it might be a glaring problem for the Bills.
For the receiving game, going into last week's preview against Washington, we both asked the question, what kind of an impact will TJ Hawkinson make? And we both said probably not a whole lot, maybe 3-4 catches, 20, 30 yards. He played 60 of 66 snaps on offense. For a guy that came in on Tuesday to play that much on a Sunday is a testament to his work ethic, the preparation the coaching staff got him. And I read an article from Kevin Seifert of ESPN, a long time. He covered the Vikings many moons ago for ESPN, and then before that, the Star Tribune as a beat writer. Said Hawkins got in on Tuesday. On his phone, he made a voice recording of like how a play call is made, so he could listen to it over and over so he wouldn't be confused when the play was made in the huddle. And then he had David Blau, the practice squad quarterback, who was his teammate in Detroit, do extra work with him. And the Saturday night in the hotel, they got together and they went over the game plan. And Blau said, yeah, he had this stuff cold. So I can't tell you how impressed I am.
Wow.
with TJ Hawkinson.
You know who that's going to impress too? All those teammates.
Yeah, I sure will. But that said, for as good as Justin Jefferson is, Adam Thielen's had a pretty good game. We talked about Hawkinson. The Bills have Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and Dawson Knox. I always say, up until this point, Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver on the field. And it's 1 and 1A with him and Diggs. I think they are the two best wide receivers in the game today. And I'm going to have to just give the edge slightly, and I don't want to, but ever so slightly to the Buffalo Bills.
All understandable, Ted. And when I did my research on the receiving core and started breaking it down, the first thing I thought was, man, there's a lot of elite receivers in this game.
There are.
The reason you got to give the check mark to the Bills is, in my opinion, the way they spread the ball around. You don't know who's going to beat you on any play. The only way the Vikings get the check mark here is if Keenum was going to quarterback. They get my check mark, but in terms of wide receivers, we're going to see a good clinic out there.
I think we are.
You're going to see a lot of good receptions. So,
offensive line, what do you got for the offensive line?
Dawson and Saffold and center Mitch Morse, they're all very, very, very good offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Very solid, and McDermott has coached them up really well over there. Both teams have only allowed 16 sacks. They're almost identical in sacks. They've each allowed 16, and they have about 23. One has 23, one has 24 on the other side. Vikings O-line has struggled, Ted, the last 2 weeks.
They have.
They're going to have to figure out a way to get back to the groove they were in. And until they get in that groove, I got to give the Bills my check mark on the offensive line.
Yeah, Ed Ingram is really struggling the last 2 weeks. I like Ed Ingram. I think he's going to be a long-term answer, but he has got to get better, and he has got to get better fast, and that is going to be a tall order this week. And I'm also going to give my check mark to the Buffalo Bills on that.
Not to make excuses for the Vikings offensive line, but I think that was the best front seven we faced all year.
Until this week, brother.
Yeah, well, yeah, that might be so, but like Cousins said in postgame, he said, they're tough. They kept hitting us. They kept pressuring us. They wouldn't let up any play, and it was tough to move the ball against them.
Yeah.
Teams get better when they play good defenses. So in the long run, I think the Vikings will gain from it.
Moving on to the defensive line. The Buffalo Bills have the number one scoring defense in the NFL, and a lot of that has to do with their defensive line. You got Greg Rousseau Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and Von Miller, who I kind of thought they overpaid for, and Von Miller was sort of over the hill. He has probably been, you said Darius Smith was the best free agent acquisition last week. If there's an argument to be made for it being somebody else, it would be Von Miller on Buffalo. He's having a tremendous season as well. The Minnesota Vikings defensive line has started to play a lot better. Danielle Hunter's playing with his hand in the dirt more, and I think you're starting to see the results of that. Harrison Phillips is having a good season. James Lynch is not bad, but I got to go with the Bills defensive line. They are just very good at every position.
This was a fun area to break down for me, Ted, because a couple real good tidbits came up. First off, let's give it up for the Vikings run defense.
Yeah.
They went from 30th, they're now 10th. That is probably the most improved unit on this team.
Well, we said it would take probably 3 or 4 games for them to kind of get comfortable in this defense and figure it out, and it looks like they are doing that.
We did. Russo's a little banged up out there on the edge, but like you said, all those guys you named are really tough to deal with, especially with the crowd noise. Yes. The Vikings I don't think they've seen that this year, the frenzy it's going to be with the front seven, because they're very active, lots of stunts, lots of looping, all that BS, Ted.
And they disguise what they do very well.
Let me tell you this tidbit I found, though. 5 out of the first 6 weeks, the Bills did not allow a team over 80 yards rushing. Really? They were the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. The highest was 80. They were holding teams to like 54 yards. The last 2 weeks, Ted, something has changed. They gave up 208 yards to the Packers on the ground, and last Sunday they gave up 174 yards to the Jets on the ground. That's 382 rushing yards the last 2 weeks, which is unlike what they were doing the first couple of months of the season. Something's going on there. I hope it stays along that line, because if that's the case, the Vikings run game should be able to thrive. The Vikings got to they got to be around 150, Ted, to win this game, I think.
They have got to be able to run the ball if they have a chance to win this game. Check mark to the Bills for you?
Check mark to the Bills for the defensive line.
All right. What about linebacker?
It's hard to give any other team the check mark over the Vikings linebackers. Zadarius Smith, Danielle Hunter, Jordan Hicks, and Eric Kendricks are slowly becoming the best linebacking group in the league.
Collectively, they had probably their best game of the season last week against Washington.
I think they're figuring out their roles a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting used to playing with each other, and they look a lot more confident as a defense.
Yes.
There's guys getting to the spot before where they weren't getting to the spot. And I think it's only going to get better.
It's starting to look like it's more instinctive for them, like the less thinking and just analyzing and just doing, because it's repetition now and muscle memory.
Right. One little tidbit I'll throw in here. Milano is hurt. They don't have Matt Milano. Vikings got a huge advantage there. But I'm going to tell you right now, Hawkinson's going to get at least 12 catches this week.
You think so?
Double digits for Hawkinson.
Okay.
So if you got him in fantasy, take him. That's my little take a good cut for the week. Vikings, check mark on the linebackers.
Yeah, same reasons I'm giving the check mark to the Vikings. Secondary. So the Cam Dantzler injury is a big deal for the Vikings. A lot of questions about, can Caleb Evans continue his performance from last week into this week? He's got a tall order. Whoever he covers is going to be a great receiver, whether it's Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs. But you look at Buffalo's secondary, and like individually, nobody really stands out to me.
They don't have an A+ and 3 Cs, but they got 3 Bs.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at it. They don't have the 1-star standout, and they just got Tre'Davious White back. He's a great player.
Individually, you look at the Vikings, you're like, well, okay, the Vikings have a couple guys that seem better. I mean, Harrison Smith is having a great year again. Patrick Peterson is drinking from the fountain of youth. But you look at that collective group and how good they are at, I mean, they completely neutralized Green Bay. They completely neutralized the Rams in week 1 and Cooper Kupp for the most part. You got to give your check mark to the Bills on this, I would think.
Who are you going to have more faith in? The Bills secondary or the Vikings secondary? Because they're both facing a really tremendous receiving core.
Again, it goes back to who plays. Does Josh Allen play or does Case Keenum play? If Keenum plays, I think there's going to be an opportunity there for the Vikings to get a couple interceptions that they probably wouldn't have if Josh Allen plays.
I'm giving the Bills my check mark, but if Keenum plays, I would flop it over to the Vikings.
I would too, I think, yeah.
They got Dane Jackson and Tre'Davious White. They're very physical secondary, like Washington was. Washington got away with a lot of holds back there. Couple that with the great Jordan Poyer. He's a really good safety. And Hamlin, the other safety, not to be confused with the great Harry Hamlin, Ted, from L.A. Law and
L.A. Law.
The Titans.
That's right. Greatest clay animation movie ever.
Hamlin last week had 12 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. So I'm going to give the Bills the check mark for the secondary, especially with being down Dantzler. The Vikings need all the help they can get this week covering. Guys are going to be running all over the field. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a track meet. The Bills are just too strong on the backside, Ted.
Yeah.
And that's also what she said.
What do you got for the red zone, buddy?
Just because Josh Allen can kill you with his legs, his playmaking ability, that guy is dynamite inside the 10. He and Mahomes, you almost have no chance. This game's going to come down to the red zone, Ted. Who can get the touchdowns and who has to kick the field goal? The Vikings are 7th ranked red zone touchdown offense, and the Bills are 4th ranked red zone touchdown defense.
Yes.
7th against 4th. It's going to be great to see who, when that matches together, who's going to come out on top. But Josh Allen is way more of a weapon inside the 10 in the red zone than Kirk Cousins is. I'm forced to give the Bills a check mark.
Yeah, I am too. And that the Vikings defense in the red zone is 32nd. So, I mean, I think even Case Keenum has some legs and could probably make a play down there along with Josh Allen if Keenum plays. I'm going to give my red zone to the Bills as well. Special teams. You know, this is outdoors. Could be windy. It's Buffalo. It's getting cold. Bills are used to this. I like the Vikings kick coverage, you know, and the punting. Ryan Wright's an exceptional punter. Had another good game last week. Craig Joseph made all his field goals, which was a big deal, but they were kind of gimmies, maybe a slump buster, confidence booster, whatever. I'm going to go with the Bills, I think.
I have to go with the Bills as a check mark here too, Ted. Joseph had a great bounce back game, but I'm going to trust Tyler Bass in those elements.
Yeah.
The punters have almost identical averages, both around 47 yards. For two really good punters going at it this week. Did you know the Bills have only punted 15 times?
Did, yes.
The Vikings have punted 38 times. The Bills have punted 15.
It felt like the Vikings punted 15 times last week.
We punt 38 times. They've only punted 15 all season. That's total. That lets you people know at home how powerful and explosive their offense is. You better look out. They're not looking to punt the ball. They get 4th and 5 or less. They're going for it. So check mark Bills.
Coaching. You know, I love Kevin O'Connell. I absolutely have faith in Kevin O'Connell. There are guys he's gone up against that have made some stupid mistakes. Even Ron Rivera made a couple of boneheaded calls, I think, that cost him late in the game. He put out a challenge I thought that was kind of dumb to make a challenge on. Cost him a timeout. Turned out to be a big deal at the end of the game last week. McDermott doesn't really make a lot of those boneheaded coaching plays. He's got a good offense. He knows it. He lets them play. He has confidence and trust. He trusts them. He's got a good defense. He trusts his defense, and he's got a great defensive coordinator in Leslie Frazier, former Vikings head coach. And their 2 stumbles, they haven't looked good, but in their 6 wins, man, they've looked damn near unbeatable. I love the Vikings staff. I love how the Vikings are coming along, but I'm going to go with the Bills here.
Going into the Buffalo Thunderdome for the first time as a head coach, it's not good for a first-time coach. You can't try to prepare for it. You just got to go do it. So Connell's first trip in there as a head coach, and it is a Thunderdome. And I think it's unfortunate that he is in his first year with the Vikings, because I think that gives, like, their whole coaching staff and the Bills, they're more familiar with their roster, their game plan, their scheme. They're just more familiar because of experience. That's not a knock on O'Connell. He just hasn't been here long enough.
Yeah.
I like McDermott as a head coach. Like you said, he doesn't make a lot of bonehead mistakes. I think they will have a little bit of an advantage. I'm giving my check mark to the coaching to the Bills on this, Jed.
Finally, intangibles.
Love intangibles.
I don't love them this week. There is one huge intangible that affects everything else again, and that's Josh Allen's status.
That's my number one intangible on my list.
If Josh Allen doesn't play, I move this category to Minnesota, and I don't even care about anything else. Even if he doesn't play, Case Keenum isn't a terrible quarterback. I think you can pressure him into making some mistakes, but Case Keenum will be at home. He'll have Stephon Diggs to throw to. He's got great weapons to throw to, much like he had in 2017 when he became the starter for the Vikings with Diggs and Jarius Wright and Adam Thielen. We talked about Orchard Park and whatever they're calling their stadium now. You've got Bills Mafia, probably the most rabid fan base in the NFL. You know, we talk about how well the Vikings fan base travels from week to week. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Vikings fans in attendance, not because it's a place like Philly where you don't dare peek your head up above the desk if you're an opposing team's fan. It's just that they sell their stadium out. They're partying the night before. Heck, we're recording on a Tuesday. There's probably somebody smashing through a card table right now as we speak in Bills land.
They're a cross between Guar and Cannibal Corpse. Guar and Cannibal Corpse.
As much as I don't want to, once more, I'm going to give the intangibles to the home team, to the Buffalo Bills here.
I'm giving them the intangibles too, of course. Josh Allen is the big, like you said, that was number one on my list. The first thing you do when you go to Orchard Park in Buffalo, Ted, where you're going to play there, the first thing you do as a fan is you get the forecast. And I, being a good co-host to my compadre, Ted Glover, I went ahead and looked up the forecast.
Vámonos, mi amigo, with the weather!
Scattered snow showers during the morning, then partly to mostly cloudy for the afternoon. There'll be a high of 38 degrees. Winds will be at the west, 10 to 20 miles an hour, with a 40% chance of snow.
40% chance of snow.
And another site had 37% chance of snow. So scattered snow showers in the morning. I think that they're talking pregame.
Yeah.
Hopefully it just stays partly cloudy.
One of the reasons they drafted Josh Allen is because he's got a strong arm. He can throw into that lake effect wind. They have coached Josh Allen up to be an elite quarterback. And one of the hardest things you can do for a quarterback coming from college to the NFL is improve your accuracy, because the accuracy window drops by 50% right now. That plays right into their hands, I think.
Kirk Cousins doesn't look like a guy who likes to play in snow shower.
All right, so that's our big board.
How do you see the summer? How do you see the game playing out?
You know, Drew, time for a little sermon from the Right Reverend Jones. There's a lot of check marks to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are a good team. They were a preseason favorite to go to the Super Bowl. They stubbed their toe last week. No reason to believe that they are still not a prohibitive favorite to make it, even, you know, if Josh Allen has to miss a couple games. The Minnesota Vikings are going to play a good game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. The Vikings are 7-1 for a reason, but I think, here we go. They're going to come up a little bit short. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's once again going to be a one-score game, and when it's all said and done, it's going to be like a 24-20 type deal, or 27-24 kind of thing. And here, I think there's going to be a play late in the game that swings it to Buffalo at the end.
Up till now, the Vikings have had the situational football, the big play at the big time on the crucial set of plays. They've been able to come away with that. And we could see if it carries over for another week. Hope to God it does. Usually teams are explosive on one side of the ball and meh on the other, but the Bills are good on both sides of the ball. And you know what the Bills do? They start rolling the momentum, and the next thing you know, they're 21 points ahead. Yeah. You don't even know it hit you. And that's a tough thing about Buffalo. I think the biggest worry the Vikings have is getting overwhelmed in that first quarter. I think you need to do whatever it takes the first 10 minutes of like playoff hockey, survive the first 10 minutes without giving up 3 goals, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins has a tendency to turtle when things start going bad.
He does.
I hope we don't start seeing that. But Hawkinson will have a big game. I think he's the key over the middle to get some of that precious yardage we're going to have to get on Buffalo. They only allow 14 points a game. The Vikings are going to get more than that, I think. They can't come out like they did in Philly and try to do that, run it up the middle every first and second down and play the field position game. You got to take some chances against Buffalo. You're not going to beat them unless you take some chances and have some nuts. I think Buffalo's about 7 to 11 points better. I got them at like 30 to 20.
Okay.
But I don't have us winning this game, and I hope I'm completely wrong, and I hope when we go live after the game this week that we can all be celebrating with a win. But I think everybody in Viking Nation knows this is going to be a tough one to win.
Like I said, if Keenum plays, the Vikings have a real shot.
Yeah, we'll probably change that whole preview if Case Keenum plays.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with Drewster's Millions, and we'll wrap the show up.
It's been 25 years since I've done this. Smashed. You dead, shooter.
Let's see if it's shooter's tour. Money. Shooter. Still got it. And why don't you just meet me at the 9th green at 9, Gilmore? Little secret of the pros.
And I'm not lying to you, that is smashed. Smashed.
We are back with Drewster's Millions and SKOL Vikings.
Yeah! So for Drewster's Millions this week, I broke even last week. I'm still sitting at $600, right?
Yes, you are.
Ruby's going to go ahead and put the games up on the board. I got $600. Got a couple over-unders. I got my weekly free prop bet, and I got games to pick. So Lions, Bears, over-under 48.5. I'm going to skip that one. I haven't looked at the weather. I don't know what the weather's going to be in Chicago. If it's crappy, nobody's getting anywhere near 48.5 points. No bet. Browns at Dolphins, minus 3.5. I am taking the Dolphins, and I am putting $250. I'm putting a Tua. Get it? Tua. $150 on the Miami Dolphins. You see what I did there?
Yeah, but if you lose that, you're going to be waddling all the way home.
I'm going to be Tyreek and get the money in my bank account. Colts at the Raiders. The Raiders are going to blow the Colts out. I'm going to pick Raiders in the points, and I'm going to go another $200. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more gambling. Cowboys at Packers, over-unders 43. I'm going to take the under on that, and I'm just going to throw $50 on that one. $25 prop bet, more team rushing yards between Minnesota and Buffalo this week. I'm going to pick Buffalo on that one. I think they will. I'm going to pass on the Chargers and Niners game.
Okay, I started chasing you last week.
Yeah.
I had $100 that I won on the Jets game that you also bet on and won.
Yes.
So I doubled up. I'm up to $200.
You are.
I'm a let it ride kind of guy, Ted. I don't know if you knew that about me. I'm going $200 that the Dolphins will cover that 3.5.
Okay.
So between us both, we have $450 riding on that game, bro.
All right. No trivia this week. We got, by we, I mean Ruby's got a lot going on. The fact that she produces this show and doesn't shoot us is enough that I'm good with. I'm good with it as it is. We will be back with trivia next week. But for now, that will put a bow on episode 79. Again, every week, my friend, I love doing this show with you. I laugh. My sides hurt again, like they do every week. Make me smart when we talk football. You make me laugh when we joke around. Having the time of my life doing stuff like this. Ruby, I can't say how grateful I am for you doing all the hard work in the production. We just sit here and talk, and she does all like the legitimate hard work. For those of you that watch the show, thank you. I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. I mean, 14,000 subscribers is just an incredible number. We're trying to get better every week, and we'll try to do better the next time. Drewster, take us home.
Hell of a job, Ted. Little Happy Gilmore tonight. It's always great doing these shows with you, man. I love it. Toonces, great production, always coming through for us. We'd be nothing without you. This is the game that could silence all those doubters. That faction that split up with the Vikings saying they're just lucky every week or they're good every week. Maybe we can get a little unity if they can go into Buffalo and win that game. Then they're for real. Nobody could say anything.
Yeah.
Join us for Vikings Report Rewind with me and Toonces and Ted, and of course, the great Christopher Gates.
That's right.
We'll try to do better the next time. You know us. We probably won't. So, but we like to keep the standards low so you don't expect too much out of us.
That's right.
Say good night, Ted.
Good night, Ted.
Oh, shoot, I forgot. Hey, Ted, it's Bob Barker.
Really?
Is this really Bob Barker? I thought he died like 20 years ago. 98? 98 years old. Okay, Ted has something he wants to tell you.
The price is wrong, bitch.
See you, Bob!